So, as some of you might know, the architecture has helped the humanity to evolve, and not just for knowing what has happened in our history, but also to know and to want to design things that we want for the future. However, today I'm going to talk to you about how the architecture is going to help us in the future to create all these things and to get more near to what we might want in the future. Today, what I'm going to talk to you about is how the architecture is helping the poor people, and how the architecture is actually helping all these poor people who have a house, because some of them, they just, with their resources, they cannot pay for one of them. And for being more specific, today I'm going to talk just about one case. Is an architect, a Chilean architect. So today, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the architect because I want you to know about him just a little bit. And I'm going to talk to you about the problems he had, the problems he was facing to create all these things, to make the solutions he wants. And I'm going to talk to you about the solutions. So, this is the architect. He was born in Chile. Nowadays, he's one of the most important architects in the world. He's the director of the architecture section at the Venice Biennale in this year, 2016. He's also have been awarded with a lot of awards in his career in architecture things. And his bigger award was this year, the Pritzker. It's the biggest award an architect can get. And he's also the executive director of the firm Elemental, his own firm. And these are some of the projects that he has made during his architectural life. This is a cabin for Jan Michelskin in Switzerland. And this is another project that was very important in Chile. It's in Santiago, Chile. It's the Innovation Center UC. And this project also makes him a very important architect, and it's also like this makes him a little bit closer to this award. However, this is not like the biggest project he has made during his life. The biggest project he has made is the project that he made with the poor people since 2004 in Chile. So, firstly, I'm going to talk to you about the problems he saw in the community. I'm going to talk about the immigrants. I'm going to talk to you about the population growth, and also I'm going to talk to you about the situation he had to face. So, the immigrants. What he says is that a lot of people who live in the countries were actually moving to the cities. Why? Because what he was trying to point is that all these people are going to the cities because work or education, to have a better life. However, most of these people doesn't get what they want, and some of them start to live in slums or favelas, or actually in some cases live on the streets. This is an statistics of the population growth from 1950 to 2050, and nowadays we're actually in population in the world, we are about 7 billion persons in the world. And the other point is that at 2050 we're about 9 billion persons in the world. And just imagine if nowadays we have problems by creating houses to all these people. I mean, a lot of people doesn't even have a house. So just imagine how would it be with 9 billion persons in the world. And the worst of all is that at least 80% of humanity doesn't have a house. So, I mean, it's a lot of people who are actually living on the streets or living in favelas, slums, in places where they're not comfortable. So here's the situation. What the government told this architect to do was that there was a place in Iquique, in the center of the city, and there was a big slum. So they were occupying this place illegally. But they didn't want to move all these people to periphery because all these people will move again to the city and create another slums. So what they decided was to make 100 houses for these people. What they thought was that the government was going to give all the architect $10,000 per family to buy the place, create the house, and make all the infrastructure. So it was nothing, actually. So they thought about creating houses for these people, but the problem with creating houses was that they will only be able to create 30 houses for families, which was nothing. The other idea was to create row houses. Even if this wasn't a better idea, it will only provide 60 houses to the families, so it was not available to, it's not viable. So they decided to build high, to create buildings. However, the population, I mean the people who were living in that slum, they didn't want to live in those places. Why? Because they say that they couldn't expand these apartments because it will be a very small apartments where they will be just like not very comfortable and they wouldn't have the possibility to expand this house. So actually what they say is that if they create builds, they will actually go to another place and create other slums. So they didn't decide to create builds. So the solution, what the architect saw about all these things or the ideas and the family's opinion was that he has to innovate. So what he thought is a normal house for a normal people with not a lot of resources, it will be about 80 square meters. I mean, they will have all the necessary things to live and they will be comfortable. However, in some cases, when the people doesn't have all the necessary resources, the houses are about 40 square meters. So what did they think? They decided to just create one part of the house, to create the 40 square meters, and to provide all the necessary things to survive. The kitchen, bedrooms, things that maybe these people cannot pay for themselves. And also they allow a place, another 40 square meters, that this kind of people could expand. I mean, they could have the possibility to expand the house if they had the money too. So here's the idea. It's actually a very basic idea. It's just like houses trying to be like built, but it's not. It's just a house with the necessary things to survive. And these spaces that we can see between houses is the spaces that this kind of people could use to expand the house. So the buildings, the houses, after a couple of years when these people could pay for the other parts of the house, and all these designs are provided by them. They decided how they want to be that part of the house, and just by thinking what do they want, what's necessary for them. So what in the architecture community, they said that they were like flexible houses because they allowed people to create and design the other part of the house. So this was the presentation. It was what I wanted to talk to you about, how the architecture is helping the poor people. And for doing that, I talked to you about this architect who was designing all these things, and nowadays he's also designing them in some places. I talked to you about the problems he was facing and what he wanted to solve, and the solutions he gave. So finally, I just wanted to ask you something: is what can we do to help these people? That's it.